The Marvels is out in theaters, latest film from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, directed by Nia Da Costa, who previously made the 2021 remake of Candyman, which I thought was flawed but pretty stylish. There's been a bit of a controversy lately when some media outlets reported that Da Costa left the Marvels before the end of editing, the post-production, to go to work on her next project in London. But I've seen her explain this in an interview that Marvel has actually postponed the release date of the Marvels 4 times already, and she simply had other contractual obligations to tend to, which she couldn't continue pushing forever. And I'm honestly with her on this one. It's been infamous in the industry how much Marvel likes to extend the post-production window in order to fix things that they didn't bother with earlier, that they didn't bother with planning properly, or change the movie to fit the focus groups. I don't think that that's a great approach in general, and yeah, sometimes you end up with a situation like this when a director has to finish her job remotely. Anyway, the film stars Brie Larson, Teyona Paris, Iman Vellani, Samuel L. Jackson, and Zoe Ashton. The story connects Captain Marvel, Monica Rambeau, introduced in WandaVision, and Kamala Khan, who had her own miniseries Miss Marvel on Disney+. For a mysterious reason, their powers become entangled, meaning that whenever any two of them use their powers at the same time, they switch places, which leads to funny shenanigans, but also problems because Captain Marvel is trying to stop the new leader of the Kree race from destroying multiple planets, and if she even has a chance at finishing the job, she'll need to team up with the other two. So it's the shortest MCU film yet, and one of the 3 worst reviewed thus far. It's also seen abysmally low sales in theaters for Marvel standards. Even my movie theater was rather empty, especially compared to other movies from the franchise. I think part of it is general internet hate boner for Captain Marvel and Brie Larson. Part of it is definitely fatigue with superheroes in general, but I'd say specifically other poor projects from Marvel specifically recently, like Secret Invasion and Ant-Man Quantumania. And part of it is also definitely lack of promotion because of the actors' strike in Hollywood. But it's a bit of a shame because I found the movie itself to be surprisingly entertaining, although certainly flawed in some regards. My biggest issue with it is the tonal mismatch. On the one hand, you have the villain storyline, which is pretty serious and dreary and takes itself, very seriously. And on the other hand, you got literally everything else in the film, which is quirky, weird, funny, lighthearted, and very tongue-in-cheek. And I have to say, I liked most of that lighthearted stuff, but I didn't care for the attempts at serious plot. I think the whole main villain thing makes very little sense, feels underdeveloped and not very well written. The villain herself, played by Zoe Ashton, is incredibly one-note and cartoonish and forgettable. The fighty, shooty bits are kind of tedious as a result, and I thought to myself, even more than in other Marvel movies, that they were just mostly filler to me, that I was waiting for the action to die down every time so that we could get to the slower character moments again, or some of the funny stuff. I also want to say that Brie Larson is fairly disappointing. For an Oscar-winning actress, I thought she was rather flat and emotionless, and some people have explained that in the previous film by the character's backstory that it made sense. Now I feel like there is no longer an excuse for her to be so boring. Fortunately, if you can ignore these things, everything else is, which, to be fair, they are on the surface, they look like main components of a film, so fair point there. But everything else is pretty entertaining. Kamala Khan is definitely the highlight of the film for me. Iman Vellani is, she has the perfect energy for the type of movie she's in, and for the type of movie this, I think, was trying to be, and she ends up stealing every scene. She's got great chemistry with literally everybody, and I cannot wait to see more of her. I really do believe that she can be the new sort of heart and soul of Marvel. There's a really funny musical sequence in the film. There's an animated scene at the beginning. There's a ridiculous sequence related to cats, which I don't want to spoil too much, but even nails the music choice. Just chef's kiss if you know what it's referencing. The humor is pretty great overall, and I liked that it's more sort of character and character interaction based instead of just the usual Marvel style of quips, which worked well for Iron Man, but then they sort of tried to push that same type of humor into every film. Um, I also kind of wish that the entire film was wacky and lighthearted like this without being bogged down by the main storyline, which I mentioned, which simply just doesn't fit the idea of a wacky, funny film. Also, there is one moment in it, in that serious storyline, where I thought, okay, well, you may be onto something here, exploring how the hero may have inadvertently become a villain in the eyes of some, like how she didn't consider the consequences of her actions, and now she has to sort of atone for them and accept that she hasn't done the best job. I thought it was a cool idea to explore on paper, but the execution is just pretty shit here. Leading to the same problem, essentially, that the original Captain Marvel had, in my opinion, which is that she was the least interesting and fun character in her own movie. So at the end of the day, I think the reception of this film will be really polarized, and I can very clearly see why. It all depends on your expectations and approach. If you want a space epic with superheroes, with a compelling plot and high stakes and a layered villain, you will be severely disappointed. But if you want some light-hearted fun with types of humor that genuinely haven't been done by Marvel before, and fun banter between all of the characters, then I think there's a lot to like here. I recognize that the movie has serious flaws, but honestly, I'm in the second camp. I was able to wave away the stuff that I didn't care about and enjoy the stuff I did. I was smiling throughout, laughed pretty hard multiple times. It was alright in my book.